Good evening, Blues. Once again, Everton have gone down, albeit they did draw the match 1-1, but we've lost ultimately on penalties and we've gone out the cup again at an early stage. It's the live reaction show. It's me, it's Baz, it's Raw. I don't know where to start, really. I mean, it was a makeshift side, but a decent crowd in at Goodison, although it sounded a bit like well, it was like a library at times. I don't know how much of the game you saw. Did you see the game?
Yeah, I saw it. It wasn't a
You're
very
very quiet, by the way.
Hello?
Yeah, that's better.
Is that better? Let me just edit audio settings then. It wasn't a very interesting game from what I saw of it. It was quite boring. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you can. We can hear
Oh,
you
you
fine.
looked a bit
Signal's not
frozen.
amazing, but what I
Yeah,
would say, just it's obviously if you've just joined us, unless you've been living under behind the sofa really for the penalties. Everton have drawn 1-1 basically, and then gone down to an Ashley Young. Well, it was, to be honest with you, you could look at it as, do you know what? As soon as Ashley Young comes on to take that penalty, you can write the script, can't you?
yeah. I mean, a lot of the blame will get levied at Ashley Young and the substitutions. I think that will be critical point where fans will be shouting, "What were those substitutions?" The fact is, Everton failed in a home game against what you would call not a low league opposition, but a lower quality opposition than a lot they will face this season, and they just failed to they failed to put their stamp on the game. They failed to have any control of that game. Yes, it was a
Mm.
makeshift squad, but they had an opportunity there to go through, and they just didn't. They just didn't take it. They just sort of walked their way into a penalty shootout, which left them 50-50 chance. And I personally never thought they were going to win it because it just never looked like that Rob. What's his name? Not Joel Robles. What's his Joe Virginia?
Virginia.
Never looked
Oh,
like he was going to save a penalty. So
well, it's yet again stressful, but great to have you here. In fact, I think we're going to try and cross live to Goodison. We're disgruntled. Ryan is come outside, and Ryan, can you? I don't know whether you can hear us, but it's just once again, it's the same script. It's the same actors as well.
Yeah, I said when it went to pens, let's leave. It's the most predictable thing. I've seen more possession on a Saturday night in Liverpool City Town Centre than we had today. It was diabolical. To have that performance in potentially the last ever cup match at Goodison Park in our history, it's shameful. It really was. And if I felt upset and angry and depressed after the other two games today, I just feel like
Numb.
I don't know. It's just like apathetic, is it?
I don't know, Ryan. I think that there's an argument to say that you've only got 2 to 3 players really from the weekend. It's almost a different side altogether. But at the same time, it's still Everton. The crowd really just felt like, I don't know, how was it? Because when I watched it on Sky, it was on the Sky Sports Plus channel. It just felt like a library. You could barely, and there were 86 minutes, you can hear them marching down the Goodison Road, but it was faint. Just sounded like there wasn't much of an atmosphere. Almost came across, at least on the TV, like it was a pre-season match.
Yeah, there was no atmosphere at any point. Sorry.
No, the only atmosphere I could sense
was borderline silence
through TV. It was just disgruntlement from that I could pick up on the crowd visually and through audio. I could just see when we did like a long ball that went wide and out of play. You could just hear the background noise of the crowd getting annoyed. I can't blame them really. It must have been a bit of a dire watch.
I'm gonna let Yann take over because he's at home.
Yeah.
I just want to say my give my 2 pence worth and then let Yann do it.
Yeah, sure. Why do you think Everton were unable to break down Southampton in the second half despite being
We didn't
improved?
have the balls. There was no breaking down Southampton. There was barely any possession. Every time we got the ball, Southampton were on us like a flash, pressed us. Our defenders couldn't cope playing out from the back. we were sloppy in possession. The midfield pairing of was going to say Onana, but that Mangala, oh my God, so poor. Decore, so poor. They were just a bad. I don't know what the hell's gone on there. You bring him in a sec when I'm going to jump out. It was just a bad, disjointed mess. When we pressed, we'd press as a 1 and 2 rather than as a group, which meant Southampton had the easy pass around us every single time, which meant we were chasing shadows. And when we had the ball, we couldn't cope with being pressed. However, what I will say, 2 things. Atmosphere was shit, and there was a reason for that, because the football wasn't very good and we're all upset. The second thing was, even though we were so poor, Southampton didn't create a chance in the match. They didn't do anything. And we had the best chances with Lindstrom, who went through on goal twice. One of them he could have squared for 2-0 for a tap-in to Beto. And the other one, I'd need to see back. It was at the other end. But we had the chances to win the match. But overall, I am so irritated by how poor we played. How we looked like a bunch of strangers. How poorly coached we look. How poor on the ball we were. How poor without the ball we were. The choice of substitutions from the manager were pathetic. The penalties were shocking. The goalie diving the wrong way every time. And then epitomising absolutely everything wrong with Everton Football Club is Ashley Young taking the penalty and getting us knocked out the cup. And that just epitomises everything wrong.
So unless I got it wrong, was Beto on the pitch at that point, Ryan? Because I just don't get it. I just don't get it. It's almost like the script was written. But thanks for your input. I'll let you drive safely. You can listen in on the way back.
I'm not actually driving, but I'll drop out in a sec. I just want to say one thing. I've never in 30 years witnessed a substitution booed like that. When Beto came off for Ashley Young, it was a very, very loud, disgruntled boo. And the whole atmosphere was like, it wasn't on edge. It was just kind of like the dullest, silentest, most irritated crowd possible. Anyway, I'll let you guys do it. I don't know. It probably wasn't as bad on telly, but it was very bad at Goodison Park.
It did come across as pretty bad. Ryan,
no, I mean, the boo was so loud.
It's
like
frustrating.
It was like you were subbing on. It was like they were subbing on someone from Southampton.
Yeah, I know. I can.
How much does that play into Ashley Young's performance? Because obviously he missed a penalty, and
they weren't booing him.
He wasn't booed at Young, but you coming onto a chorus of boos, it's not going to help you, is it?
But
he came on. He didn't come on to booze. The crowd
he didn't,
booed the decision.
The crowd booed at that time, and he came on not to a positive atmosphere, but to a negative atmosphere.
The crowd booed the decision. They didn't actually boo Young. I was. That's the way I sensed it anyway. But I'll come back in later.
It's just general massive frustration all around. Thanks, Ryan. Thanks for
to go out of the cup. Can I just say, to go out of the cup in the 3rd round at home to Southampton is absolutely pathetic and embarrassing. And question marks need to start being asked of this Copite manager. And I say Copite because he was a Liverpool fan. And the only thing he's done is beat Liverpool, and that's the only thing that's giving him goodwill.
Yep. Thanks, Ryan. Live there from Goodison Park as Everton fail yet again at the early stage. Hi, Yann. It's never a good time when we're all here with faces like this. I was hoping we might be able to celebrate a narrow penalty win. Well, a narrow penalty win, to be honest.
I mean, I did sit in the side for a couple of minutes. I don't want to cover over old stuff, but I think there's plenty to say. But it's just the same stuff. We did start bright, and the very much positive. Well, we didn't start bright. We had moments of being able to demonstrate that we should be beating Southampton, which we really should have done, because we had very incisive play with McNeil, Beto, and some great work from Undai, support work from Mangala. Was it Mangala? No. Yeah, he was on, wasn't he?
Yeah, Mangala was on.
Yeah. Sorry, didn't quite catch all the game. And but do you know who was the greatest going forward? Lindstrom for me. He showed, and Dixon, and the pace that we had getting in behind them, because at least at times you could see there was cohesive going like, oh shit, I've let they've in trying to get this, we've been caught out in trying to move forward here. We've lost the ball, lost possession, but we're already going back to cover the spot. So for me, it's epitomized in things like those team selections. Those players have not been given experience enough to be up to the standard that they should be, because they're clearly already there, some of them, but then taking off Beto and bringing in Ashley Young and doing that kind of stuff. It's piss poor game management again.
I was gonna just see if we could just unravel through the match, but I think that your rant is well deserved. Lindstrom did well, but he ran into trouble because he was crowded out at times. I felt that they just made an effort to mark him, and it made him look maybe more ineffective than he was. I thought he had a decent game by his standards. I think he's still got time to work in the game, hasn't he? Still got lots of development. I mean, that really is a makeshift Everton side. Lots of injuries, lots of illness. Calvert-Lewin was out. Whether he was started remains to be seen. I just want to pick up on one of the stats that I've got here for both of you, which is Everton only having 25% of the ball, 25.8 to be precise. Unfortunately, I don't have the ability to upload slides for some reason today. So 25% of the ball at home against Southampton. Just pick up on that.
No, I'd rather not. I've said this before. We looked. You're good with these statistics and analytics, Basil, right? But there were times when we looked so completely sterile that look. I know football is a game of two halves, and there's two teams, and it's not always about how you attack or defend, because it's about how the other team play as well. But the fact that we seem so happy, complacent, it's basically a willingness to sit back. No, don't do that. It's a willingness to sit back and do.
I'm just seeing if I can get the stats up, to be honest.
Oh, okay.
It may still not work, but
to sit back and allow the other team to just push us back and push us back and push us back. I'm sorry. While you're working out on the stats, unfortunately, I don't want to jump in there.
There you go.
All right, never mind. I've got a poem written. I wrote it this afternoon. And
that'll cheer us up. Why don't you save that for the end of the episode, and then we can have something to really hold on to.
Yeah, but there's so many points in it that are salient. It's just fucking ridiculous.
All right, well, bring you. All right, fine. We'll bring you in on Yann's poem. Stay tuned for Yann's poem. If you want to listen to that, you need to make sure that you tell everyone: the milkman, the postman, your cat's auntie's dog. And just while we're picking up on this, David. I mean, Everton only having a quarter of possession at home. It's embarrassing, isn't it?
Yeah, it was pretty bad. I mean, from my perspective, 20 minutes, Everton had probably most of the ball for those 20 minutes, or not most, but 60% plus, more what they should have had throughout the game. But I think energy kind of showed, especially in the second half, a lack of energy and a lack of awareness and tactical awareness of the players who were on the pitch. I think contributed to the downfall in terms of possession stats. Yann highlighted that first 20 minutes was decent, and yeah, we did string together some good attacking moves. I think that comes off the back of being fresh at the start of the game and having some fullbacks. I know McNeil's not a fullback, but he does offer some sort of attacking threat from fullback, and so does what's his face, the young lad on the at right back. So that's doubling up at the wings, and we did look a threat, but I think that started to kind of reduce after 20 minutes, and Everton never got a foothold in the game after then, resorted to playing long balls, which very often went out of play, were mistouched by Beto, or just literally had no support. I think Everton's tactics, particularly second half, it never got any better, especially when Beto got taken off. Everton continued to pump that ball high up the pitch to nobody, or to Ndiaye, really. But what do you expect from trying to play long ball? They had to change the tactics to play a slower build and play out the back, but they're just not capable of it, and therefore you see we just couldn't retain the ball. And
I was very impressed with how Armstrong. He didn't entirely have all the right support around him, but he seems to be like he's capable. He's of the right caliber, at least. He might not be amazing, but he's. Why are we not? Well, why is it taken until now, a cup match, to see something in some of these players? Or to at least.
I think he's risk adverse. That's one.
Yes. Absolutely.
But I think human nature is that most people are programmed to be risk adverse. So, if you were in the hot seat, then you would probably be designed not. You might design everything to not lose rather than to win. It's unfortunate the way that humans are programmed, but he didn't want to throw in those players at this stage, and he's probably eyeing the cup games. Here's the reality of it: is that this side only has McNeil and Dyche and that's it. And Keane
Beto's at the bottom
from the weekend. I know, but Beto didn't start the weekend.
Okay,
right?
just saying.
So this is almost a completely 75% of this side is complete. Yeah, they had the same possession pretty much as Villa as we did at Villa Park.
What's the common denominator? It's not just Keane.
This is what I'm trying to pull out, which is my banner from the past. Where is it? Where is my banner from the past? Probably under stuff or example banners. I think we store kind
don't
of
tell
banner.
everybody how useless we are and feckless. No, don't.
But I mean,
this one, that's my stock banner.
How bad is that lineup? Though?
Anyway, going back, this lineup may have been chosen for Dyche. We know that there's 2 keepers on the bench and that there's 4 kids, right? So we don't know to what extent he had any flexibility in this lineup. I thought Dixon did well. I thought Keane did okay. Brian, the jury's out. McNeil was out of position. I mean, it's makeshift. If we'd won this game, would we have just forgotten it? Would we be nitpicking through it?
I don't think we would be speaking with much more glowing terms if we'd won that game on penalties or by a scrappy goal. That lineup to me isn't that bad. I mean, it's got 4 or 5 of the regulars. I mean, if you count sort of Decore and Beto, it's similar standard to the rest of the team. And Mangala played for, in the Premier League for Forest. It's not a bad team, but you've got to remember, as far as I'm aware, correct me if I'm wrong, but Southampton made 11 changes for this game as well. We've got players in there from the weekend, so you'd argue we started with a better side there.
We should be able to beat them. That's a simple thing. Is that they're inferior, but maybe we are kidding ourselves a bit here. I'd love if you're a Southampton fan who's watching this. Are Everton a better side than Southampton? Statistics would say going to this game, Southampton had exactly the same form as Everton in a league lower. Correct? They're still down there. Oh no, they're still in the Premier League. Sorry, apologies. They play Ipswich the weekend, right? But maybe we're just kidding ourselves that we're just going to walk through this game. I mean, the last 4 Goodison home games in the cup, we won by 3 or more goals. So statistics would say Everton should have won, would have won. This was just another one of those nights, wasn't it? One of those nights that you can almost write the script for.
But yeah, I know, but it became that thing again where, look, our goal was lucky and scrappy, and because we're not capitalizing on the clear chances that we're making in the game, where you say, look, we should have put it to bed by taking one of these, that other teams and other players or on other days, or certainly against us, would put away, right? And you have those negative options, but I mean, I don't think Decore was better. Lindstrom was good, but he just, like, for instance, he went too far and didn't take he could have got a shot, and then before you know it, we're back at the halfway line. He went to a dead end towards the end of the match. And that's,
this is not something I'm going to keep on for very long. Yeah,
but it's symptomatic of how we're it's symptomatic of how we're playing. That you could argue about form, but Southampton are a promoted team, and they would have prepared for this adversity. We're on the down. They're on the way up, or have been on the way up and struggling. Now it's just
that's the situation going into the game. Apologies to Southampton fans, of course you can, and you are now exactly on the same number of points as Everton, but you have progressed into the next round of the cup, and Everton and Southampton both lost 4 games. I'm not going to keep this slide up because it's depressing, but yes, they would have prepared slightly differently. They made more changes than you might expect for this match. We don't know how many of these changes were enforced from the weekend. I'm not on top of the Southampton squad rotation in the same way I am Everton. It looks like the Everton lineup on paper should really have had a decent chance, but I think this was always going to be one of those games. You either win it 3-0 or it's going to go down to penalties. And yet again, we've lost. If you've just joined us, maybe you've come out of Goodison, maybe you're on Queen's Drive, or back on the M62 or something like that. Thank you for joining us.
Sorry, I do want to point out a rather funny comment. Colton here says Everton get knocked out by the second worst team in the Prem.
Yeah. If we didn't have bad luck, we'd have no luck right now. I mean, it's a really hard thing being an Everton fan. Never mind coming online straight after the whistle. Thanks for Ryan for dropping in, because we can all laugh and joke, and it wasn't pretty watching. At times it was painful, at other times it was reasonable. But the script at the end is just another nightmare. Everton losing with an Ashley Young final penalty after a bizarre 10 penalties went in, all pretty much similar, all very well taken, low, goalie nowhere near any of them. Then Ashley Young's is saved. And in fact, if you're looking at through the Saints' eyes, it's Alex McCarthy, their keeper, who's the hero. Looking at it through our eyes, it's bloody Ashley Young again, and he's the scapegoat for Everton.
It does. It encapsulates and epitomizes it, and sometimes you need fuel on the bonfire. Sorry to interject here, right? But
that's fine. We're all a bit emotional and stressed.
The goal that we conceded was it Jake O'Brien screaming at someone who hadn't come back? Was it Decore? And it's exactly the same as the Keane goal, the header where he wasn't being covered, or Ollie Watkins ran in at the weekend. And it's so frustrating to see the same things, as Ryan said, the same mistakes littered all over the pitch. The fact we're not capitalizing on those chances, and the fact that we're sitting back and not challenging, and that we are seeing some good forward play at times today when we put them under pressure, and Roman Dixon was running forward, and Beto was chasing down, and there was a bit of pace in Dyche and Lindstrom to close down the other players and put them under pressure. And there were times when it was like, yeah, actually this is the Everton of old, or not the same tactics, but it had that fight and desire at times. And then when that dies, we just sit back, and I don't know what you guys thought, but
it's just that there was no cohesion really today for me. I just felt that it was disjointed. We let them have too much of the ball. Most of our play was, for me, in the second half, and it just felt like the atmosphere didn't make it swinging in our favour. It's almost played into Southampton's hands, in that they would have tapped into the stress and anxiety that, I mean, if you take a cross section of the four of us who've been on the stream, we're stressed, we're anxious, we're fed up. We don't want the next game to come. It's painful to watch. We know we can't do much about it. We know that probably removing Dyche might not change the situation as much as it might give us some temporary ease and a possible mini bounce. And we're looking over our shoulders at this fantastic stadium that's being built, yet the side that's going through it is just, it's like tumbleweed. And it's terrible to watch. And it's stressful being an Everton fan at the moment. Just unforgivable in terms of some of the stuff we've seen. They shouldn't have lost to Bournemouth. And that's where it's almost like you could say, yes, we got hammered Brighton. Yes, we got hammered Tottenham. But then we should have won against Bournemouth. And that's when it started to turn here for me, for the fans, because their tolerance of it would have been completely different if we beat Bournemouth. Even if we'd lost to Villa, a side that have been going really well. And I think they may have won their Champions League game today as well. They were 2-0 up last time I checked. They, against Young Boys, they were always going to be a bogey fixture.
The point I'm trying to make is that today in the match we saw moments, as I said in the on the stream and the rant I did with Ryan the other day. Sorry, we saw moments of what I call eggshell fine, where we appear to look like we're competent at playing football, and then it falls apart.
There's plenty of that in this match.
But but that's what I'm saying. There's plenty of it in this match. But the reason why we actually looked, potentially we could have got a draw, or we'd look because it's Southampton. But that's not the. I don't mean to be disparaging against them, but they're not Spurs. They're not Aston Villa. So, but the fact that we have that against them is just symptomatic of the problem. And the fact that the youngsters relatively did well, we're not going to see them play in the league. The players that had some fight, and why have they not been prepared to start playing in the league? Because they're showing stuff that, as I say, has been drilled into them by the rot at Everton Football Club. Sorry.
That's fine. Rants are welcome. Baz, have you got anything to add? I mean,
No,
it's
just
hard
wanna-
to rationalise through that, but I thought Everton made some good moves in the second half. Harrison got in, Lindstrom got in. We had a few chances. Southampton were quite good. If you look at it through their game management, they got back into the game. I mean, should we just quickly touch on the 2 goals? Everton's goal, oh God, it seemed like an awful long time ago now, as it often does. And thankfully, we were spared of 30 minutes extra of that match. It was that or paint drying. But basically, it came from a McNeil cross from a corner. And Keane did really well. This is in the park, and to keep the ball alive, had it to Decore, who nicks in and heads it past the keeper, who couldn't react in time, and that brought a smile amongst Evertonians' face. It felt like a very long time ago. Did either of you see the goal at the beginning of the game, or have you had a chance to watch it back? And what did you make? What did you make of Everton's set piece? Yeah, what did you make of Everton's set piece creativity there?
I mean,
there's nothing particularly to say.
I think what I think
I'm trying to say that with a straight face. It's very hard.
Jake O'Brien did very well, I think, to keep the ball in it. I think that piece was going out of play, he flicks it back. Michael Keane gets his head on it, and then Decore makes this strange swipe, which was really good improvisation and get us 1-0 ahead. And I think, that's making use of a set piece. It didn't look like it was planned to be like that. It just meant like they scrapped their way through it. But at the end of the day, that was our main threat all day, to be honest, was Michael Keane and Jake O'Brien from set pieces. Everton did well at winning corners in this game, but I think it underlined, or free kicks, but it underlines Everton's lack of ability in the final third to actually create basic chances and thread the ball at the right moments. They would either run it too close to the byline, run out of space, and just miraculously win a corner, or they might go down and win a free kick. But Everton never looked like they would create a clear-cut chance from open play, apart from 1 or 2 where we went through on goal and wasted them, which is just, as Yann said, really important that we do take those chances, because that's what's coming back to bite us when we give Southampton 1 or 2 chances and they score one, especially when they score it
because we're eggshell fine, because we're shit. When we put under pressure by even a team like Southampton in their 1 or 2 handful of chances in the game, we piss away, we crumble. That's what it is.
Yeah, just anyone who's just joined us will probably want to know the ratings of the players and the
1 minute and 40 seconds of your time. 1 minute and 40 seconds.
No Everton player got over 4.5 on the official BBC ratings. Ashley Young got 3.15, which I think is the lowest I've ever seen, to be honest with you. But anyway, going back to the match, it didn't take long before Southampton had something to cheer about themselves for all that possession. And it was the centre-back who got in the action. It was, I don't know how to pronounce it properly, but Taylor Harwood Bellis. It's quite late at night to be doing this. I've been up since the crack of dawn with a little.
They had a lot of players that sounded like they should be on a cheese board.
Yeah,
like the Harwood Bellis cheddar and brie and corn.
There was a lot of that kind of middle class name.
Sorry, that's just how I was entertaining myself. That is what Everton has reduced me to. That when I'm watching football, I'm trying my best, my level best, to exert all my cognitive effort and energy into not thinking about football.
And then, of course, there was all his Lidstrom. He had a lot of chances, some of which were wasted, but he's rusty. And I think
the corner that we conceded from, it's just unacceptable. Again, not marking. Come on, it's the centre back. You've got to mark a centre back. You can't leave
James has said this. This is James. I said this, and the complete mismatch in size of Harwood Bellis and like Keane at the weekend when Watkins is coming in. We expect a defender to pick up a player, and we don't have the midfielder running in, and we have this weird hybrid of zonal and man mark. Sorry.
I don't know if he didn't run
the joint
in,
man. I don't think we do either, to be honest, Yann. I don't think we do any marking.
He didn't chase it in like Watkins did. It wasn't like a last ditch run into the box. He was stood in the box. McNeil and Decore are the ones close to him, but they're not obviously our best headers of the ball, and they're not close enough to him. They kind of let him wriggle away, and he just gets that free header. Can't be getting a free header in a box like that easily. They didn't create that much, Southampton, for all their possession, all their moving the ball around. They didn't, and we allowed them to get back into the game when, quite frankly, if we just held on to that 1-0 and just been a bit more composed and defensive as a team with a makeshift side and found a way through it to win, that would have been enough, but we didn't. And Everton did it, and what Everton do. While we've got over
we're
1,000
professionals
people,
at spoiling the night. Yeah, make sure you
with 1,000 people
tell everyone you know
watching,
as we
please like and subscribe as we digest this another.
Yeah, we need you to tell your mates and get as many people on the channel
Yeah.
so we can keep the channel as alive and
And-
kicking as
and-
possible, because the
and you
team
get-
isn't
you-
alive.
You get a follow Everton exclusive now, because I was going to drop this afternoon, but I thought no, it might dampen the mood if we actually get a win in the cup against Southampton at home. Come on,
we'll come on to the poem in just a second, but do make sure you like, subscribe. Just a few other bits of housekeeping before we go on to Yann's poem. Manchester United managed to beat Barnsley by 7-0. The one that caught my eye was the Preston Fulham game, 1-1, but Preston won 16-15 on penalties. I mean, I was stressed at 4 or 5 penalties in when they were all going in. Imagine 16-15. Brentford beat Leyton Orient. Sheffield Wednesday won against Blackpool. Stoke and Fleetwood drew 1-1. Not that anyone cares. QPR lost to Palace 2-1 at home. So Everton are out the cup, and all those teams that have gone through are now going to be waiting for next week, because the game's going over 2 weeks. It's all bizarre. It's all about us getting as many TV games in. Also, the Champions League's on. And that's in a new format. So there's just it's great if you're a football fan of any other club other than Everton, or even Southampton. Yann, we're going to give your poem. Ryan is back. He's at home. He's got a face like thunder, and I'd like to hear more from him. But let's go to your poem, and then we'll come to him. Over 1,200 of you watching live. Keep your comments coming. We are going to come on to those comments. Everyone is venting, and we are frustrated by that. Yet again, another disjointed performance from Everton and from Dyche, where definitely questions are being asked. The only positives are that we scored our first 5 penalties, that our strikers didn't miss any penalties because they didn't take any, and that, of course, we didn't concede 3 goals or more for the first time in my living memory. Yann, let's go to your poem. So this is a big premiere from Mr. Yann himself, the Viking. He brings us the poems.
Don't pick it up. Just let me fucking get it over with. Shut up.
The anecdote to any Everton defeat. At least you're going to bring a smile on people's face.
I'm not. A horse, my kingdom for a horse who'll work and slog and graft and a fucking course. Don't do this, you dickhead. Who'll work and slog and graft and a fucking course, put a shift in, stick a leg in, ain't afraid of gegging in. It's sink or swim. And though the season started, the casualties begin to drop like flies, disappearing quicker than the fire in their eyes that hints at something deeper. Is it despise at him for us, for parking the bus and holding the train, holding down the fort while we're circling the drain, always caught, no refrain, while all around none re-signing and all resigning. This isn't what they dreamt when signing. So contempt while all unkempt, our camp and companions divided by canyons, chasms and rifts. Surprise, surprise, everybody grifts. There's been no thrift, no shrewd decisions. Fuck it, anaesthetize the physician because it's euthanasia. Youth in Asia, clearly lacking nous and no pride when we don't even utilise the youth in Merseyside. And we're meant to be impressed by some fancy dress, which is, I stress, capitalising on legacy. Ordinary folk, you and me, who have this mad obsession with EFC. And if you know your history, stop milking us like cash cows or crops. With each bilking venture, your moral capital drops. Could it get any lower? The start be any slower? It's the same every year, a grower, not a shower. So who's going to be the big swinging dick in the room? Who'll stand up and lead the way out of the gloom? We're not expecting you all to flower and bloom. Just be the one person people look to. Dare to presume we need your help. We need someone. But before all this, look at what we've become. Is this really nil satis, nisi optimum?
Wow.
Get back in.
Wow, that was truly spectacular. Thanks so much, Yann. That was absolutely brilliant. ChatGPT, eat your heart out, because that was impossible to create using any type of AI. And from the soul, from the heart, that really spoke to a lot of problems that Everton have right now, and it's very hard to then come back with anything that sounds remotely interesting or exciting, but for the fact that it takes a hell of a lot for all of us to come on, and it takes a lot for you to watch this. We know that this is somewhat painful. Everton losing yet again. It's not a joke. It is reality. And we go into another league game against Leicester, a match that we'll be previewing on Thursday night. And then it's just a Saturday 3:00 kick away. Ryan, thanks for joining us again. Well, you've got your kit on. Maybe you would benefit from getting on the coaching scene and maybe helping out Dyche and the squad. If you were in tomorrow, Finch Farm, first thing in the morning, 8:30, whenever they start, what would be where would you start?
Steve, I'm gonna bring a bit of anger to this stream because it's been really nice and civil, but I'm absolutely effing fuming. I'd have them doing every basic drill that they could possibly do. If you look at the goals we're conceding week in, week out, the basic Sunday league goals, today again, a header at the back post. You've got two players, you've got 6'6" centre back, you've got a 6'5" centre back, you've got Tarkowski who's aerially dominant. You're conceding the same goal. So the first thing I'd do, and I know that David Moyes would do this if he was Everton manager, because he used to say if something went wrong in the match, he'd be working on it and working on it in the training ground for the whole week. And we should be
But
working
zonal? Is it zonal man to man? That's what we don't know.
No, it's not. It's not.
It's McNeil that gets caught out here.
I need to.
It's everything.
It's mixed.
Listen, it's corners, it's free kicks, it's from open play. But to answer your question, my drills would be fullbacks, go and fucking stop the cross. Go and stop him getting that ball in the box. It's not that difficult. That's the basic, fundamental thing of your job, is to stop the cross and to get on the back post and win the header and read the situation. That is so basic. That is what I'd be working on them, Steve. To win, to stop the cross coming in.
How do you not select a man like Thingy Bellis, Harwood Bellis, 6 foot, whatever he is? How do you not pick him out and know to mark him for a fucking ball coming in the box? Sorry.
I don't know, but our general tactics under Dyche is a narrow back four formation that lends itself to not getting out to the winger and stopping crosses. That his tactics is make sure you get your head on that ball when it comes in the box. And you know, the last few seasons we have done really well. Branthwaite, Tarkowski heading away most things that come in. It's not happened, and it's highlighting this lack of ability to get close to the wingers, and it's just all looking like a shit show.
Just want to finish more on that question because it is a good question, very good question. How to stop the cross? Very simple. What's going on?
That might be my audio.
Stephen? Is that your audio, Stephen?
It might be my audio, but it's for a very good reason. Because
I'd be saying one thing very clearly. I would get Illiman and fantastic. I would get Illiman and Dyche to run at every fullback and give him the clear instruction of trying to get the ball in the box. And then it would have every single fullback of us instructed to learn how to go out and stop the cross. I would then have my centre backs practicing one very basic thing. When the ball comes in the box, get your head on it and head it away. It is not that complicated. Why is it that complicated? Stop the cross, head the ball away. And when they're taking these pot shots on 40 yards and scoring every match, Welbeck, that guy who didn't even want to play for Villa.
Where's you talking about the low block under Lampard?
Block it. Block the shot. You know, we had a wet goal today who looked like a rabbit out the headlights. They look like a back four that had never played with each other before. And those two new signings, one of them's a Belgium international. He couldn't even, I don't know.
Talk about Mangala.
Box of Belgium chocolates would be worth more than him. It's bloody awful.
They've not played together before. You know they haven't. If it's a makeshift 11, you're only going to get what you can get.
David, I don't know how long they would have been training with that, probably since
this morning. Have prepared like that. They just wouldn't have. So
talk me through what's going on here.
Steve, one sec. I just want to say, this was making me so angry in the car. Sean Dyche has disrespected Everton Football Club. This is the final season at Everton at Goodison Park. We're out the cup in the third round to a newly promoted team, and we're at the bottom of the league, having conceded 13 goals. It is disgusting. It is a disgrace. Sorry. I'm
It's
so
okay.
pissed off. It cost me 25 quid tonight.
Everton don't do refunds. I'll tell you that. It's not easy.
Sorry, David.
No, it's
You
fine.
can't get everyone in. There must be.
What
no
is
way of
going
doing it,
on
is
here?
there?
Someone tell me what is going on here. What is going on here, please, guys? Will you tell me what is going
Well,
on?
Decore gets caught under the ball, and McNeil gets caught the wrong side of his man, and between them, he gets a free header. But the fact is, Michael Key and Jacob Ryan are your main defenders. I don't know what
It's in the
system
fucking
it is.
6-yard box again. It's in the 6-yard box.
Why
Shouldn't be getting that.
It's a good ball in. I have to say, look at it. Look at it.
Stop it. Why are we dissecting one moment in a game in which, for the most part, we were overwhelmingly shite?
Because we're looking for something to pin off.
I'm just looking at you going, this is the moment. This is the moment. This is the moment, guys. As if
Zoom in a bit more.
Machina, or the pivotal moment in some sort of film trilogy. As if like,
Who's his
oh,
man?
this is it. Zoom
Who is
in,
his man?
enhance, get the
Going.
reflection off his eyeball, get
Who is his
the
man?
number plate, the register.
Who is that? Who's meant to be marking Bellis? The player at the back post where
Who's
we
the
know that
man?
ball's going to
Who's
go.
the man? Who's deep throat? It's been the man in the shadows.
Who is that meant to be marking him, Steve? Because the way I see it is he's the centre back for them. He's the biggest goal threat and he's on the back post. Yeah, I'd have had my most prolific header of the ball at the back
You
post.
put your A player here, right? You put your biggest player here, maybe Michael Key.
I think they get sucked towards the near post because the Southampton players are mostly at the
He
front
ducked.
post.
He
Who
ducks
blocked
for
the
that
ball
one
off
where
the
Ollie
line?
Watkins scored. He ducks. Watch it back. He jumps and he's
He missed
the
them.
only footballer I've ever seen who looks smaller when he jumps than when he stands still.
He's so heavy he can only get like 6
But
inches.
Neil
off
at the back post, for the record, that gets out jumped. He shouldn't be in that position, but he's played left back. I mean, what? You can't fathom you're playing your best player at left back during the match. He's going to get caught out at some point, and then you bring on Ashley Young for Beto. I mean, what the? Right, someone's got to hold it together, and I think I'm the person that's trying to hold it together. But anyway, let's not zoom in anymore.
We're here to be reactionary. I've invested 3 hours of my time to go and watch that, and I
We
feel
just invested 3 hours of our time as well.
37 years of my time and money,
41 and a half.
and attention. Right, I am sorry. It's not good enough. None of it is
say one
good.
thing.
Yeah, and every
wanna say
single
one
one
thing,
of these
Steve, if that's
80
okay.
years between us has been seeing this League Cup. We get naff all up it. We might as well forget going. 33,000 that went today. The best thing to do would just not bother going.
I felt so sorry for Jasmine, who was with because my fiance, because she was getting all excited for the penalties, and I've actually seen us in the League Cup go out, I think 3 times consecutively on penalties. Norwich City, there was one last season. It's a fucking piss take. We're a bunch of spineless wet lettuce pricks. I hate them all. I don't know why I'm doing this, but I want to say one thing really rationally and calm. Steve, you've been a brilliant host because our job is to be a bit more reactionary. You've got to ask the good questions. I want to say one thing. We have nearly 1,200. We have 1,194 human beings, not bots, watching this stream right now. That is record figures for Follow Everton. Genuine, real people. If you are a real person, which I'm assuming you are, do me a favor. If you're watching on YouTube, there's a button you can see. Click subscribe, support the channel. We have nearly half of our total subscriber count watching this now. Hit the subscribe button. Do us a favor, please. We really want to hit 3,000 subs. If you're on YouTube, hit subscribe. If you're watching on X, that's fine. Do us a favor. Come over to YouTube or go on your desktop, whatever it is, on a different tab, youtube.com/follow Everton. Click on the channel name, click subscribe. It's absolutely free. It helps us. It gets more eyeballs on the content. I just want to reiterate that, if that's okay. I appreciate we're all depressed. We're all miserable. But, you know, if you can help support us, we'd be grateful.
That truly,
What's this
you
now?
say this, we can dissect. Sorry, I just want to say before you get back to it, I want to get back to the football immediately after the corporate plugging. Right, we can dissect these moments, absolutely. We can talk about them, but when there's so many, when they're so frequent, when they are so intertwined, interconnected, and they happen, it becomes our nature, our behavior. Attitude is made up of, like, you know, all these kind of little incidences, and nothing is good enough across the board. at Everton at the moment, and it's just depressing. So when we're talking about Ashley Young encapsulates this, the fact that we brought on Ashley Young. We brought on Ashley Young, took off Beto, who was doing fantastically, relatively speaking, compared to what we've seen this season and the last 18 months. And what are we going to go back to at the weekend? What's going to happen? Go on. Are we going to see any positive signs, as in, or conviction or aspiration, like we did today in some ways?
We didn't want to win this game. I'll tell you one thing. Southampton wanted to win this game. They were the ones playing with the intensity. They were the ones with the initiative. They were press resistant. They had a plan to stop us and make it horrible for us. I just want to say one thing on this penalty, since you brought it up. I knew he was missing this penalty. He's the only one who did some stupid, silly fanning around where he's trying to diggle his feet like this and then try and disguise it. It was an awful penalty. And the goalie, the Everton goalkeeper, you might as well have put one of the statues on Crosby Beach in goal, because
it didn't matter.
Awful.
The keeper's got nowhere near any of the penalties. There might as well be an open goals. This one, he gets through the ball pretty well. I mean, we all know the script. He gets through the ball pretty well. And
Does he save it? Does he save it?
He does save it. He does save it.
It's not aimed into the corner, is it?
Basically, we can only show still, so apologies if this is kind of like,
it's fantastic, Steve. It's fantastic to do that.
Feels a bit backward. But
can we not potentially show 120 stills very quickly consecutively?
Get a copyright warning off YouTube if you do that. But it's good analysis, Steve.
Yeah, basically, Ashley Young. Right.
You know what the sad thing is about that? When we missed that penalty,
it hits.
The crowd was expecting it. They were just kind of like shrugged the shoulders and was just like, oh. And even the Southampton players, I thought they were going to run like the chickens to the goalie and celebrate. They just kind of went, yeah, and like shook each other's hand and went over to the away fans. It was all up.
All three away fans cheered. I could see the upper Bullens was empty again, but let's not go there.
Hang on, let's not talk about this, because even Everton, our attendance today was 33,000, and that's not good for.
Yeah, but 29,995 were Everton fans who'd been paid to go.
People bought tickets that didn't go. The people who are working, doing some work for me here on this house at the moment, he said, I bought a ticket. I'm not going. The season ticket holder next to me, who I've been sitting next to for 8 years, with David.
Wait, hang on. Sorry.
He didn't go either. They just didn't want to go. You know, they would have bought tickets and been so apathetic that they don't even want to turn up to something they've bought. I mean, that's the most ridiculous thing ever. Buying a ticket and then not going. I mean, they're entitled to do that, but that just shows the sorry state of affairs.
Telling the keeper.
No, they're all. To be honest, I've just watched them all back.
Sorry, my mates in the comments.
They're all good penalties, but then it goes wrong.
What's so funny?
Ryan, it's Joey 11 saying, telling the keeper, Ashley Young's telling the keeper where to go as he kicks it. Here you go, mate. Dive right.
Beautiful.
Right, here's what happens. Ashley Young hits it. It's not aimed. It's straight at the keeper. Yeah. So Ashley Young has cost us a ticket to another Everton.
When you hit a good penalty, unless you're a world-class player, when you hit a good penalty, there's always the chance that it's going to go, oh, that could hit the bar or the post or go wide. You know what I mean? That is just oh, God, I've got to hit it towards the goal. And it's just a stereotypical, it's like a pass, not a shot. Sorry.
What was interesting about our penalties, while we're being hyper analyzing things here, all the players that preceded Ashley Young stepped up with a short run-up, composed, and slotted it in. They knew exactly what they were doing. It was like meticulously rehearsed. And then Young does that paddly thing with his 2 feet. You don't know whether he's going to take it with his left or right foot, to be honest. I didn't even realize. I thought he was a left-footed player.
Yeah,
but he's just hit it and hope the goalie's going to move, hasn't he?
It's a good strike, but it's right at the keeper. The keeper makes a save. Then it goes towards the left of the post, and it's just like, oh, it's just.
Steve, question for you. Experience. He's the most experienced player on the pitch. What does experience get you when you can't take a penalty?
I mean, a lot of people were calling at his head, and I can't even.
Gets your manager sacked in the morning.
I
he's
just
not
don't know
he's not
what
getting sacked
is it.
tomorrow.
Is it worth going through all these penalty things? Because quite frankly, Everton
No.
should have won that game in normal time,
We're
and it's
looking
their
for
own
That's
something
what
to
I'm
blame.
saying.
it's their own fault they didn't finish this game off or not concede goals, and they just it was their own downfall. The penalties are irrelevant. We scored 5 penalties, our 5 main shootout penalties. You're being hypercritical to say we were
Talk
gonna.
about Lindstrom then. Talk about those Lindstrom chances. He goes
Let's
through
talk about
twice.
let's talk about Dyche because
Lindstrom, Lundstrom,
everyone-
Lundstrom, Lindstrom. I just think it's all
I look-
academic. We can't string a couple of passes in the opposition half most of the time. We can't defend a set
But I
piece.
don't think it's I don't think it's worth dissecting any player. We could talk
let's
about
talk
positive.
bigger.
We're not here
Let's
to
talk
talk.
bigger
Yeah,
picture.
Talk
Just
about
talk
what we
big-
can do.
Can we
What
talk
can
about-
we do?
Can we talk about Dyche, please? Because
Okay, let me get my
a lot
stock
of people
banner
in
out.
the crowd- a lot of people in the
Here
crowd
it is.
are
It comes
talking
up
about
nearly every
Dyche.
stream. Now
It's
let's
all over
seriously
the
talk about this
comments.
now. Seriously.
Right.
Do you remove
Dyche?
Dyche? No, you can't remove him now. Should have removed him in the international break.
I'm talking about Dyche.
You couldn't sack him
Dyche.
on the back of 4 games, though, could you? Really? I mean, that would be quite unheard of.
4
even
games?
not
was-
on the back of plus pre-season.
Do you think
plus
Everton
last
woke up?
season.
Do you think we woke
You
up and
can't
went,
count
you know what?
pre-season."
We've not been deducted any points for a few weeks. Let's give ourselves a 4-match cushion where we concede as many as we can, and then put our supporters through as much hell as possible.
Last season was officially the worst ever start to a Premier League season for Everton, and we somehow managed to beat it. It's like he looks for new ways to try and make it even worse than it was before. How can I beat a record that Frank Lampard held, which hadn't been broken for 60 years, or Rafa Benitez's record, which was previously the worst record win percentage of anyone? How can we make it even worse? Can I
It's
just say,
worse.
the only thing that gives him the goodwill for me is that Liverpool win at home where we beat them and stopped them winning the league. That is the only thing. And even that really doesn't matter.
Too petty.
It was a magical night. It was a magical night, but it was one night.
I'm looking at
One night in heaven. It's just one night. We can't pin our hopes on everything to just change. It's not going to change.
You're waiting for a Cinderella situation, right? This is what I'm saying. Are we going to sit here? And the people who are meant to be leading us have been deluded into searching for a glass fucking slipper that is existing right there, but it's causing a lot of the problems. Bramley Moore, I'm not calling it an albatross or a folly or anything like that. It's correct. But what I'm saying is how the club, how the executives, how the board, the fact that Colin Chung is on his own. I'm not blaming individuals. We are directionless. We have a board. Ryan didn't get it the other day. Maybe Stevie, Basil, you'll get it. We need some sort of stability where I'm saying potentially, former players or people from the shareholders appoint a group that represent the club's interests, that actually act with some stability until there's permanent new owners and take ownership and install the right sort of power and people and duties and responsibilities. The fact that the whole thing we've got directionless. For years we've had unsatisfactory number of people on the board and a clear fuck up in the separation of powers and responsibilities at the club. It's a shambles, mate. We can't be sorry.
Wow, have you just the information coming out of Everton is that Sean Dyche, when he was asked about subbing Beto, said, "I was trying to adjust the team to win the game." And then he said, "We're hopeful to get 3 with illness back, which were Mikalenko, Calvert-Lewin and Garner, but the rest are unlikely." I mean, I was about to say it's magnificent. This was 7 players unchanged, 7 new players today that we were treated to. We thought it was going to be different. But if you thought that was bad, good news. We've got all the players who conceded 13 goals coming back in. Tarkovsky, Coleman, Mikalenko, sending back to Ukraine. Rubbish.
No, Ryan, it doesn't do any favors to blame the players when they're all underperforming and singling individuals out when clearly they're not all of a uniform standard or ability is not going to do anyone any favors here. It's gone past that. It's not like saying, oh, don't make those, get this player off and all that, because it's clear when a player doesn't give the toss. Like when Morales had his ups and downs and ins and out and Lucadinho was on his way out. That's obvious, but I don't think it's much bigger than this.
Look, what did Dyche do today? Let me spit this out. Dyche plays McNeil at left back, leaves left back on bench, starts with misshapen 11. Dyche plays okay for 20 minutes, makes no changes, doesn't react. Then 60 minutes, 70 minutes comes, takes off striker, puts best attacking dribbler, isolated up with striker, takes off main threat. Everton fall apart. Everton don't get any better. Do you blame Dyche for this, or do you blame just the general things around him? At what point can you say that was Dyche's fault and he needs to go? Because these are
We'll
circumstances.
just go around the three of us, and we'll just answer the question in turn. Starting with Yann.
No, I want to go last.
Okay, Ryan.
He's responsible for picking the team, but he said he only had a certain amount of players to pick from. So he picked them, but he does give them instructions, tactical instructions. And for me, the way we were trying to score looked to be this strange thing we do where we kind of do some shimmy in defence and then we hoof it long in behind the opposition fullback and centre half to Beto, who's got to trap it, hold him off, hold up the play, and then somehow make another run in behind. But we did create those two chances, the Lindstrom ones, and if he puts them away, no one's talking about this because we win the game 3-0. So some of it is on the players, and some of it's on the manager. It's collective. You know what, lads? I can't even believe I'm discussing this. This is year after year. We do streams and we look for new lows to try and come up with. And we're still talking about it.
We also go through
2020, 2019, 2018, 2017.
We go through managers and nothing changes. And Dyche is somebody who you would like to think speaks with a fairly honest, probably overly honest mind. Yes, he comes up with some politically stock answers, but he does sometimes
like
watch the same game. There's been some Everton managers where I felt like they'd been not watching the same game as me, and they kind of covering up the truth. Here's where I see it is: we should have had more possession. We should have made an effort to make more possession, and yet we've got a similar stat. Dyche probably didn't have much to play with in flexibility, and he probably didn't spend a lot of time preparing for this because the Villa game was really, really important to us. And it looked like we threw it away. Let's face it. It was a wonder goal, but we threw it away. Looked like we might have prepared for that and then just seen this one as Southampton, I'm going to have to start rotating the squad somewhat. Calvert-Lewin's fallen ill. Whether he was going to be in the lineup or not, I don't know. It wouldn't have made a difference, I don't think, whether anyone was managing this game, because I think the personnel were almost picking themselves. The team is clouded by the situation that we have at the club. Off the field, there's uncertainty, and on the field, there's just shite. And it's really, really hard to watch. The fans are not behind the side. We're all frustrated. We're all fed up. Things are starting to turn in the wrong direction. And the aura going to this game was one where I felt like if we'd scraped through, it would have been great. But we were never going to kind of walk over Southampton. I don't think Dyche in particular is to blame for this performance. That's my view. I don't think removing him now is the right time. But I think if things don't improve after we've played Leicester, and then I think we've got 2 home games after that, if it's still, he's got to go. He's got, if we've not picked up 4 or 6 points from the next 3 games, then he's got to go because we need the bounce. We can't afford to be 7 or 8 games down. I'd like to hear from Yann.
Yeah, just before Yann, I'll give Yann the chance to react to my question, but I just want to add the caveat for Yann, because me and Yann spoke the other day about the whole motto of Everton and the wider thing about nil status nisi optimum. I just want you to think about this when you answer the previous question, that Dyche today had his hands behind his back, which is what Ryan and Steve have pretty much said. But at what point did he actually try and win that game? It just looked like we were completely happy to just wander through and leave and just not progress.
Let me ask you, I'm sorry, this is why I wanted to go last, because I didn't want to derail it, but I think it's a useful exercise because we're all on the same page, right? If you haven't been there, try to use your imagination. For anyone viewing this as well, any one of you 1,300 plus viewers we've got, please just think about this. You've been in a place of work. Maybe it was your first job or your first one where you were actually like in an office type environment, but call it a call center. right? And let's just say that's what the football club is at the moment. Have you ever been somewhere where you just go, what the fuck, this place is toxic or grey or nothing happens or it's failing, or and you just, and nobody seems to give a fuck, and you could just, you go like, well, I want to do my job, I want to go above and beyond and all that kind of stuff, but there's no reward, there's no incentive, there's no inspiration, right? Well, basically, so Everton at the moment is that shitty call centre job where the players are the call centre people answering the phone, and every interaction they have, whether it's a pass, a cross, a throw in, every little thing with each other is like interacting with a customer, but they don't give a fuck. They're just buttoning into away. They don't care about the poor service. They're not closing on sales or actually giving people what they want, and they're not following the leads that are there and doing this. It's like they don't care about feedback and customer satisfaction. And the team leaders, if you talk about trainers and coaches and whether this is Dyche or not, and he's somewhere between this and the next level up, they don't lead, they don't direct, they don't delegate, they don't use people's skills and talents and work as a team. They don't manage or inspire or lead them. And then the board, what fucking board? Well, the executives, there's no vision, there's no mission statement, there's no passion, drive, directive. So you end up with like possession regularly below 30%, a win percentage now that has dropped to 33%. This is KPIs and SLAs from a workplace, right? You'd go, this is a business in crisis. You'd need to get administrators or auditors or fucking intervention in. That's what I'm saying. And everybody's just going, Bramley Moore. Yes, it's Dyche's fault, but in replacing him, any other manager's just going to fall into the same pitfalls and hope, because we shouldn't be deceived into thinking that replacing the manager is the only fix. It requires a lot more. It's just putting a plaster over a fucking tumor.
I mean, it's well summarized. There's a hell of a lot of moving parts here, and it's not just the manager that's going to be the problem. And that we've seen it when we've removed managers, the situation comes back. The back office has changed. The club is in takeover talks. We're also looking to relocate house, and the fans are the only constant amongst this madness, and everyone's fed up of it. And you're absolutely right. I mean, I run a business and I have done for 17 years. You would have a management meeting tomorrow. You would probably not call it a crisis, but you wouldn't be saying much more than a serious problem. And you would be saying that we're not performing well. But if you just look at it with the grey, because there's a lot of grey in between, we were stupid at the end of Bournemouth, but we could have come out of Bournemouth and Villa with 4 to 6 points, and we wouldn't be having this conversation. We have been on the wrong end of I don't want to say unlucky, but foolish end to 2 games that has cost us quite dearly. And we need to focus on being consistent and focusing for the 90, 95 or 99 minutes that are in these matches these days. I firmly believe we will pick up form. We will scrape our way to Bramley Moore, but something more fundamental has to change for Everton to be able to start looking beyond 17th place every year.
Our sheer existence has never felt more pointless, in all honesty. You know, if you're just battling to survive, what is the point?
Because it all goes down to what Yann says, which is you need a vision, you need a guiding principles and a purpose. It's not the school of science, it's a school of shit. And we can't...
Yeah, because... Look, you claim to be nil satis nisi optimum, and yet we don't even learn from mistakes that get repeated, because we have the fiasco every season over people getting in at the start of matches. We have players that are just released out into the wild after poor performances and left to confront with fans. We have fans that are left deluded, which is just, somebody should have some responsibility and step up and say, you know what, this isn't helping the whole same team. It takes a village. Life is a team sport. People's club mentality. It's not the best is good enough. It's fucking this'll do. And I'm sick of it.
Our standards have certainly just dropped to levels that are just like no standards. There's no standards anymore. Like, I was speaking to some people in the ground about what I would consider the good times as a 30-year-old man. And even they were probably to someone else not the best times. It was Cahill, Arteta, Fellaini. But what I would say, it was likable. These are just an unlikable bunch. You look at them and you think, Young, I don't like you. You're playing for my club. Keane, I don't like you. I don't like half of you. I probably don't like any of you.
There's probably too many veterans in the side.
Our existence feels so pointless. And as Yann says, there's a lot more things than just on the pitch.
Yeah,
I can't even
and we all
believe. Can't even believe
we all
have to talk
recognise
about
that
it again.
there's a lot of cogs here in the wheel, but they all seem to be broken and not working in unison. If you've just joined us, where have you been? We've been live for an hour and 5 minutes, ranting and raving about Everton and the general state of play, plus dissecting some of the Everton Southampton game where we've lost 5-6 on penalties after 10 penalties went in. Nothing compared to what happened at Fulham and wherever was it, Preston? I don't know, 16, 17 penalties each. Crazy match there. United winning 7-0. We're just the same old. We're like a broken record. Fortunately, we've usually got something interesting to say post-channel. And if you're interested in being part of the channel, don't forget to look at that comment there, because you can have a look at how ways to get in contact with us. And if you can suffer through the candid reaction like we do, and it's often a catastrophe, but more often than not, we're here regardless whether we win, rarely, draw sometimes, or lose mostly. Our team are here through thick and thin. Of course, we kind of got going, if you just really come on to this because you're just fed up, during lockdown when there was naff all to do. And we've not really seen much progress since then from the football club in terms of moving forward. And there's really no identity. There's no style of play. There's no string of consistency. There's no results. There's no moving up the table. The squad's moving a little bit, but we're all fed up, and we've a right to be so. And none of us are getting any sleep. So
this is a comment,
that's the
Steve,
situation.
from my friend Tom, who's watching.
Hi,
He's
Tom.
not an Everton fan, but he
Dyche
says
got
Dyche
Burnley
got
to
Burnley
Europe.
to Europe.
Yeah,
I mean,
but it was a flight on Ryanair. I think, yeah, he did get Burnley to Europe, but he ain't getting us to Europe. Not in the Intertoto.
I
Sorry.
think he's
more like the
very
How the
arrogant.
hell are we,
Intertoto
why?
with a
Sorry, where did this come from? I feel like I've been slapped in the face. Back to reality. Why are we talking about Europe? We should be talking about if we survive.
Should we talk about this? Should we talk about Leicester? We've got to play Leicester on Saturday.
He's very arrogant, Dyche. That's what I don't like. I think if things go wrong, he's very quick to blame everyone but himself. And when things go right, he's very quick to say, "Oh well, the players are doing what I'm saying."
He can't stand there saying actually Young balls up the last penalty. There's pressure on that penalty, right? He ballsed it up. He could have been, any of those players could have ballsed it up, but he's the pantomime villain because
Yes,
we knew.
that's why I'm saying it
We saw the
encapsulates
script.
everything
We
that's
saw it
wrong.
last year with
Who
missed it?
It's true.
Onana.
He was the pantomime villain. We were
He
pinning
scored in the
a lot.
Champions League tonight. Onana.
Kidding me.
Sorry.
So we were pinning our frustrations on. We often do this as fans. It's okay. It's like blaming our nearest and dearest. We're pinning our problems on certain players. If it's not Keane, it was Michael Keane about 18 months ago. Michael Keane is an idiot. Young, he's an idiot. Coleman is an idiot. But basically, that not anyone could have.
Cost 30 million. We paid 30 million euros for that. We could have got better value at buying a red row.
I think there's a lot of tolerance for the likes of. There's a lot of tolerance for the likes of Tarkowski. I've got a lot of time for the guy, but he made massive mistakes in the last couple of games. The thing is, we're always looking to pin our hopes on whatever donkey we decide that we don't want in our side that's overaged and all of that. The problem is anyone could have missed the penalty.
But that's why I didn't agree with Ryan scapegoating Michael Keane, or the whole point of vilifying Ashley Young is it's not going to do any favors and it doesn't really address the real issue. Yes, he failed. Yes, several times he's been substituted in when he shouldn't have been. So then it falls on Dyche, and it also falls on who the fuck are we as you say, is tying his hands over these selections.
Ian was spot on. I got statistics from the last 4 years of Everton games. Every time Michael Keane plays, there's a minimum of 2 goals conceded on average. The stats don't lie.
Yeah,
that's why I scapegoated him. But I am actually saying that there's more to it. They've all been terrible. I don't know what the hell went on in pre-season, but we were poo in pre-season. And then half the players have come back unfit.
Because we shrink away. We shrink away throughout the match until we just allow them to, before you know it, the entire football is taking place in our half and we're doing fuck all.
I'm sorry to bring this up, guys, but here's the villains or heroes as you see them. I want to know how many of these players, right, we actually see as, how many did you keep?
I'll go first. Njai is class, and he will be class, and he will be sold on to a team that plays football because he's like a one-man band. Pickford's
I'd keep 15 or 16 of them.
Pickford's head still in the Euros. Lindstrom's going to need time. Irabunam's only got 70 millions in him. Don't know what's going on with Jared. Very mysterious injury. Breuer hasn't cut it for me. Let's see. Mangala too early. Beto can't score. Young, get rid. Absolutely shocking. Can't believe we offered him another contract. I want to stick pins in my eyes every time I watch this bloke because he deceives you and then he'll do something and like ruin his performance. Calvert-Lewin wants away. Keane was finished 3 years ago. Jake O'Brien, why sign £18 million for a player if you're not going to play him? And he doesn't look quite that good at the moment. Dixon needs time. Harrison's pathetic. I can't even believe we reloaned him. He's crap. Tarkovsky's fallen off a cliff. Coleman's finished. The young lad needs time. Mikolenko unfit, but offers nothing going forward. McNeil all left foot. Patterson, shite defender. Chimiti's going to go on loan. Decore couldn't trap a bag of cement. Begovic won't make an appearance. Gay's 35. If he can't cover the ground, he can't offer much else. Garner, 1 goal a season, man. And Virginia was like a Crosby Beach statue today.
If you think about, I mean, it's a great summary.
Feels
but
good
if you
to get it off my chest.
I know. If you think about it on paper, sorry, the cliche here, we're crap.
Welcome to the party, pal.
What
To quote John McClane, welcome to the party, pal.
I thought he's done okay in the last few games, right? But you've got to surely get these 3 out the club because they are the old Everton, and they've done what they've done, right? There's not much talent here, is there, David? I mean, Basil.
I mean, half these players are out of contract in the next year.
Who would I keep?
I think Idrissa Gueye is out of contract. I think Calvert-Lewin's out of contract, wants to go.
17.
Here's the new Everton squad.
17 of those have been capped at international level. 17 of those players at top international level. I've just worked it out.
There's nothing Ryan said that I can really disagree with in the traits of these players.
Roger could have potential in the future. We're pretty hopes on somebody who's on loan.
He's on loan.
And Mangala.
So's Mangala.
They've got huge 25, 30 million fees attached to their conversion at the end of the season. If we do want to keep them,
30 million quid. You're not going to get 3 million for half of them. You want 30 million quid for Jesper Lindstrom?
For what it's worth, for what it's worth, these are the only players that I actually value. Right?
We don't even own Jack Harrison.
What?
Decore's out of contract as well.
It's supposed to be controversial, right? That's the whole point. We're not going to have the same opinions.
Steve, tell me one thing Jack Harrison's done in 2 years, please.
I thought he took his penalty very short today, but I thought, he offers width and he gives us the ability to play him on the left and the right. Yes, he's on loan. Sorry, McNeil's basically carried our side for the last few. I think Decore might be on his way, to be honest with you.
So who do we actually have on loan? Did we sign Lindstrom or is he on loan?
Loan.
Yeah, okay, so he's on loan. So bin him off. Apologies. So based on, if I'm trying to think, who do we want to keep out of those?
Yeah, let's see who we want to keep.
My radical team, based on that and based on the age of players and shit in dead wood, right? This is not going to be ideal, and I admit you're going to laugh at it. But looking at those players there, how do we move forward and where do we start from and improve?
7 of those actually are out of contract at the end of the summer, by the way.
Okay, so then give me a sign if any of these are out of contract, because for me, the only alternatives you've got from there is Pickford, Patterson, O'Brien, Branthwaite, Dixon, Irabunam, Garner, as in James Garner, and Dyche, McNeil, Beto, and obviously Armstrong is one for the future.
They're all out. They're all either on loan, overaged, or out of contract, and this is why we're in the position
the ones that I said there.
What are you saying, Yann? Don't get question.
No, the team that I've gone for that you think you move forward, because you were asking who would I keep, who do you rate? But for me, it's like going forward, as in not going forward attacking, but moving forward in the future, in terms of shipping out the dead weight or the players that aren't going to move us forward.
I think we have a massive. I think he's gonna go this season, and he's playing his way into a new side that may be pushing for Europe, right?
Do you not think it's sad that all these players played today, and we go, well, you can go, well, we played shit, but that wasn't even our first team anyway. But then you go, oh, that's a good point. That your first team's coming back, but the first team were the ones that shipped the 3 goals and the 3 goals and the 4 goals and the 3 goals.
But the first team were playing better sides with respect to Southampton as well.
Southampton had like their reserve goalie playing.
I'm gone. Right, this is not good for me. But you carry on dissecting it, guys.
It's fine. I'm just thinking. You know, you've got McNeil, you've got Branthwaite, you've got the keeper, Basil. What do you think?
I don't know what I'm meant to think, because
is it really? Is this just a summary of the shite that we've got? And
thing that I get hold of a video game and I can just replace who I want, because it's just not the way it's going to go down this summer.
But that matters. I think
we'll be lucky to get to the summer.
Doesn't really matter. I think what matters is, like, how do we now move forward into this next match against Leicester? How do we find 11 players and a system and a formation that's actually going to work with these players? For me, it's very clear that Iliman and Dyche has got to be the first name on the team sheet. If Branthwaite is even 75% of his Premier League fitness, I'd still play him, because technically and his natural ability is higher than the others. But there's a real negative sort of, do we have to play on against Leicester? There's a real painful feeling now about this, and the only way that's going to change is a crazy result which comes out of nowhere, which I can't see, or if the manager goes, because I think the fans are looking at the comments, and there's been hundreds and hundreds of comments.
Yeah, take us.
There's
we need a sleeping bag.
So many, you know, I haven't seen one. Is there anyone in the comments who wants to keep Dyche? You know, I haven't seen a single one, and there's 1,361 people watching across all platforms.
Yeah, it will take us
Thank
a long
you very
time to go
much.
through the
If
comments.
you're on YouTube, subscribe. If you're not on YouTube, please come over to YouTube and subscribe and help us out. But is there anyone who actually wants to keep Dyche? Axel is saying, in Dyche you must trust.
The problem goes far deeper than
Eisenberg,
tonight's match, clearly. I think the general consensus is that he's needed right now, even if I think we've got other problems. If we keep changing the manager, we've seen it's not the problem. But I think now that I've pulled up the squad, I think we can see why it's not working out that well. There's a mixture of different players that have either come in at a very early stage in their Everton career or Premier League experience, on the way out, or very beyond the standards that are required in the Premier League. And that's causing, and then we've got injuries, and everyone's got injuries. That's not an excuse.
12 of those players are his signings. I've just looked at that now.
It takes time to embed the squad, but what kills me is the fact that we have low possession and no identity. I don't mind low possession, because we beat Arsenal with like no possession. We have beaten sides by playing a low block and winning off a corner, but we don't even look like we've even got that in us at the moment, because we can't defend. So, but I think you need continuity, and it'll probably put his first team out on Saturday, assuming that we can. What's quite clear here is the squad is inadequate for the Premier League.
Yeah, I mean, if you cross out the ones who aren't able to play at the weekend, you'll probably be crossing half the list out. And then what does that leave you with? I mean,
it wasn't last year, though, was it?
You're right. There isn't a player in there who's in there.
2 players.
Is there a player in there that's aged between 25 and 30? That's maybe Calvert-Lewin. That's like a proven player in their sort of prime, 25 to 30 years. The rest of them are all.
Yeah, but you could swing it on its head. You could completely swing this on its head and go, Ndiaye, Senegalese international, best player in the championship, England's goalkeeper, Lindstrom, one of the top players in Germany, Timur Abuna, under a bright prospect, Branthwaite, arguably the best English defender, Breuer, fantastic talent, Mangala, Belgium he's in the Belgium squad. Beto young, I can't say anything for, but you could go through it and swing some of them on their head and say they are good enough. We finished 13th in terms of total points last season. We've only lost Onana and Godfrey and Gomez, who didn't really play a lot. So you wouldn't have had such a drop off in performance and results without it being coming from the manager and the others.
They've got the
I think-
ability. That they wouldn't have got to this place without the ability, but they're youngsters still. Even I get what you're saying, they're bright prospects and they've proven in flashes and moments that they can be quality players. But when you put in a bunch of fairly young and experienced players out, they can't change it themselves on the pitch because they don't have the experience to do it. They don't have the tactical know-how to do it. And then you're relying on the likes of Coleman and Young and those older heads to get it into them and Tarkowski, but they don't seem capable of actually helping on the pitch and they're often injured. So it does make for a very weird squad complexion.
Certainly, yeah. I mean, look, we're not going to be able to solve it, unfortunately, but it does help a little bit by getting some of the voices, well, the demons away off our chest. It's not going to be the most comfortable night. I thought it couldn't get much worse after Villa. At least we didn't lose 3-2.
I don't feel as upset though tonight, Steve, as I did against Villa.
No, because you just expect that we're going to get knocked out of the cup. But the reality is, it would have been a distraction. We've proven there that we probably haven't got the squad to compete in 3 competitions. We can't even barely compete in the Premier League. Sadly, we've got more for you. Thursday night, we'll be previewing Everton's trip to Leicester. Do we have to? Do we have to play again? Yes, we do. And actually, you know what? After that Villa game, I just want to get back out on the pitch and see if we can put some energy and frustration into a performance that yields 3 points, even if we don't play well, and then build up from there. And we'll be previewing the game on Saturday. It's a 3:00 kickoff. And hopefully Dyche will get the team rallied. And we've had you for 80 minutes, nearly as long as the game, for post-match reaction. If you stayed right through, thank you so much. I'm sorry we didn't get through to all of the comments. We had so many today, and of course we
Couldn't do it. Impossible.
Hell of a lot of frustration coming through, but you'll see it on all the different channels. Don't forget, if you want to know about the streams and you want to see us go live and vent our frustration and unpick things and zoom in on pixels and all of that jazz, we're trying to obviously see what we can do to unravel the problems that we're under, as well as trying to see it at times and at the right times the lighter side of it. But right now it's very hard to, because we've lost 4 in the league and we beat Doncaster and lost Pens to Southampton in what might prove to be the last ever cup game at Goodison Park. We hope not. But anyway, wrapping up from Baz, from Ryan, from me, thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you all being well on Thursday, and then post whistle, where hopefully Everton will finally secure the 3 points that they desperately need to move them outside of the
It's going to be a long season, isn't it? Even you're just thinking now, we got to do a post-match reaction for the Leicester game. We know exactly what's going to happen, and they let Jamie Vardy again, running in behind Keane. He's like a statue and conceding another goal from a set piece against a newly promoted team.
Perhaps we should.
Save us some time and stress.
Maybe it'll be on the preview. It sounds like Jamie Vardy's nailed on for as far as I'm concerned. I think we had an opportunity we were trying to sign him a few years ago. But all of that will be discussed on Thursday, when, if we can possibly muster the energy to discuss Everton yet again. Well, from one sleepless Evertonian and the 2 brothers, all 3 of us actually, from the same pod, but all one blue family, and from all 1,339 live watchers, we hope that you managed to find something from this game that allows you to get to bed. Maybe it's all 5 penalties that went into the net in the park end, or maybe it's Decore's. Maybe it was Decore's stunning header from the Keane. But
I'll savor that moment.
Yeah. But no, thank you so much for watching. It's painful for all of us, and it's hard for us to come straight on after the whistle. It's probably a little bit more painful in the league than it was today, if I'm honest. But I think any defeat's a defeat. We drew it on paper today. Oh, she's lovely.
We're shit.
we have a right to be angry, but at the same time we need to be tolerant of the situation. There are injuries and there are illnesses around the club right now, and there are also based on that squad analysis, a bunch of players that are either overaged or on loan and don't actually physically belong to Everton. So there's so much uncertainty, but hopefully we'll be able to still find a way to pick up enough points this season to scrape by. But I think, Ryan, you're right. It's going to be a difficult one. But from me, from the brothers, from all of us,
Good night.
good night. Up the Toffees.